All right, let's do this.
Get it all done.
We are
Oh, we
live.
are live. All right, let's
Next time.
jump in. I am super excited because we are at the point of our webinar series where we are finally debuting Hawk AI. So I'm joined by Jonathan Meyer and John Murcott. You guys want to intro yourselves real quick?
You first, Jonathan.
Yeah, I'll jump in here real quick. For a lot of people who might have been watching any other previous webinars, you might be familiar with me. I'm pretty commonly involved in these projects. But my name is Jonathan Meyer. I'm one of the senior solutions engineers for the Bridgeline team. I've been working with HawkSearch for over a decade now at this point. And yeah, I work with John and Jeremy and really looking forward to showing off what we can do today. John?
Yep, John Murcott, I run products and strategy. Jonathan, good to have you back. You have the right voice and you know all the details here, so I'll be a little more quiet. And as you can tell in the products team, everyone's name has to start with J. So
Yes,
let's jump
the
in.
rule.
So if you've been following along, you'll remember that the last couple webinars have really been focused in on why is AI so important? Why are we all over it? And how does it relate to you, right? What are the use cases you're looking at? What's the ROI you're looking to expect? We get a lot of questions around, hey, I get it. This stuff sounds amazing, but is AI really going to help me build more trust with my customers, right? Is it really going to help me convert more or make more revenue, right? Is it really going to create more engagement or create more personalization? We've even put a survey out to challenge everybody to say, what is the challenge you have in your business that maybe you've never been able to solve before, or you've been trying to solve it for years and you can't, and now that we've got all this amazing new technology, tell us what it is, and we might be able to look to some of our new AI capabilities to solve that. And that's been a fun exercise because I've literally been on calls with customers like, you know what, you're right, I've had this thing we've been trying to do, I'm just going to throw it out there, and we've actually solved those things. So my point is we've really been focused in on the use cases, what our customers are telling us, what the ROI is they're looking for. But here today, we're going to actually dive in and look at the new Hawk AI capabilities. So everybody knows that this is really important. These are some new stats that we pulled from Gartner that just shows how much AI and Gen AI, and we'll talk about the difference to us in that, but how important these things are. I mean, these are incredible stats. 80% of digital commerce applications will be using Gen AI, up from 5% from last year. So, and by 2028, AI agents will replace 20% of interactions in the buying journey, right? So these are customer-facing AI agents. So we'll talk about that as well. So all that said, we've got three things we're going to look at, and I'm gonna frame this up for us, and then Jonathan's going to jump in, and we're actually going to do some live demoing. So we're going to talk about three things: driving revenue, improving customer journey, and simplifying complex workflows. And we've broken those three things into three buckets. And you'll see that that's our product roadmap has been all about these three main buckets, right? Which is helping engagement and conversion, because that drives revenue, helping with the customer journey through guided selling and conversational search, and then helping with workflows and automation and things like that. And that's the world of AI agents, or you may have now heard the word agentic, and that's what that's all about. In our world, we have put those in these three buckets here. We call that smart search, smart response, and smart tools, right? Smart search is the AI powered search that is driving more relevancy, right? More conversion, more engagement. Smart response is all the Gen AI stuff that is creating better experiences, search experiences, allowing us to develop more enriching and more engaging search experiences. And smart tools is all the agentic stuff, building things, not only for merchandisers, but soon for front end too. So with that, that's the frame up. I hope that makes sense. and I'm excited to turn it over to Jonathan so we can actually see this in action.
Yeah, excellent. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. And we're going to walk through kind of I want to build out, the tools that Jeremy was just highlighting there. I think it's important to kind of build on one on top of each other. You can kind of see where we started with this and where we're going with it, and kind of how we're really innovating in this space by bringing a lot of these things under one roof here. So let's start with the basic kind of keyword search functionality. It's great. We've obviously been very happy with that. We put a lot of effort into making sure that, like, when someone comes to a site and does a keyword search like hiking shoes, we can really deliver on kind of your classic keyword search experiences, looking for the names of the products, the categories of the products, to deliver the relevant results for that. Where we had obviously seen some of the difficulties with keyword search is that in this day and age, when someone would come to a site and say, hey, what do I need to bring with me on a camping trip, we're not getting the best set of results here, because this is looking at a large range of kind of data set, and we're getting kind of a mishmash of results here. It's not terrible, but it's not really the greatest set of results here. And so what we really wanted to zero in on is being able to leverage the large language models that are now available to better understand what these kind of requests are to deliver better results. And the important thing for our customers is that we're not having to suddenly build out a whole new data set. We're not having to get whole new product catalog information. We're leveraging the existing information, just leveraging that kind of large language model on both ends of the equation to say, well, what do I need to bring with me on a camping trip? Let's go ahead and ask that of the concept search. And we're going to get back in much better results here. We're getting back in sleeping bags and pillows and travel chairs and again, tents and things like that. But as you can see, if I scroll a bit further down, we do start to get some results that aren't 100% exactly related to that. So this is one of the things that we have recognized. Hey, this large language model, this concept search, can deliver better results, but it's not all the way there yet. And one of the other things we realized is that as a part of this functionality, we then also have the ability to do visual search and image-based searching, where I can upload an image and say, hey, I'm looking for this particular kind of product that I've taken a photo of, and we can have the AI match against that. And this is really great as well. And I can also describe the image that I'm looking for to say, hey, I'm looking for a hat that is fuzzy in pink. And we're going to go ahead and have the AI understand all of that. And so we had all these different tools. We had our classic keyword search, which is great at delivering very core relevancy. We had the concept search, which allows us to better understand these requests. And we have things like the visual and the image search, which allows different ways of doing that kind of product discovery. And one of the other things that we realized could be a stumbling block in the way that we can improve this is, your users aren't going to know to switch between any of these things. Now, a visual search, that makes a little bit more sense. We're kind of all trained to, oh, there's a camera icon, I can click into that, I can upload an image. That's a little bit more straightforward. But the idea of we're seeing of describe an image as well, something that not all of our visitors are going to be aware of. Well, what is this actually doing? And so over the last year, the product team, John, and everyone on this side has been working very diligently to roll out what we refer to as our hybrid search. And what this allows us to do is basically take the concept search, the image description search, and the keyword search and blend those all together into a single set of results. So I can ask questions like, well, what do I need? Let's make this a little bit more complicated. Let's not even just say a camping trip. Let's be specific. What do I need to bring with me to cook on a camping trip? Let's make this more specific here and ask those kinds of questions. And so when we're doing this, we're now saying, okay, well, Hawk Search, look at the keyword search results that we saw initially there. Hawk Search, look at the concept search results that we saw there. Look at the image-based search results there, and kind of blend those together. And we can rank these different methods of search in terms of importance as well. So maybe your catalog really, doesn't have the best images. Well, we can lean more on the concept search. Maybe you have really great images, but not the greatest data around those. We can lean more into the image-based results. But you can see here when I've posed this question of what do I need to bring with me to cook on a camping trip, we're now getting just rock solid results here. We've got the pots and the pans, the travel utensils, the stoves, the food that we might want to bring along here, the spices. Just as we scroll through this whole first page is great results for the idea of, hey, I'm going on a camping trip. I'm going to be cooking. What do I need to bring with me? And leveraging kind of all those three different methods of searching to really deliver just kind of great results there. And this is really one of those key things that we think is going to set kind of the search experience apart, especially under the Hawk Search umbrella. This is a differentiator in the space. A lot of our competitors are looking at this like, oh, well, you need to toggle into that kind of concept-based search. And you need to, again, put the onus on your users to navigate to that. And then again, you have to deal with that idea of, well, this, that kind of search isn't looking at all of the data points that we have available for us. So we think this is a really huge kind of step forward in how HawkSearch is really innovating in this AI-driven search space.
Yeah, I love this. And I love watching our team work with our customers on this and introduce it, because when a customer sees their data against a keyword search, then a concept search, which is technically different, right? Then an image search, and then a hybrid search. Those are really 4 different searches. You can actually start to see your data and how it performs against each one of those searches, right?
Yeah.
Some customers, their data could be very strong with just keyword, right? That it's just heavy skew, right?
Yeah.
Which keyword is great for that, because it's all about matching. Or some folks' data might actually be light on the content or description, but really solid images, which means the image search actually kicks in and really helps out. So it's been fascinating to watch customers look at their own data against all 4 different searches and see which search is best. And then to your point, for us in the hybrid, we can actually take the best of all 3 of those different searches and bring it into into a single unified search experience.
It's really powerful, and I think even you'll notice here, as I'm kind of intentionally letting this sit here, you note that we have recognized kind of the shift in perspective here, where we can now have, to your point, all these 4 different methods of kind of searching. We can help with that guidance as well. Let's put a little message here. Let's do some training within the search box. Describe what you're looking for. Longer tail kind of natural language searches. What do I need for a camp kitchen? We're kind of guiding the visitor here at this point as well. Like, hey, this is a search box that you don't have to treat as kind of your classic, early 2000s keyword search, where you need to be very specific and kind of, you can be a little bit more open. You can be a little bit more free form. You can search the way that you're looking to search, and the tool can support that and help with that kind of product discovery end of things.
Hey, Jonathan, can you spend one moment on actually a term that you came up with, very creative, the tailored AI, and how that plays a role here?
Yeah, so with the tailored AI, you might recall, as I was doing that first search there, when I was saying, hey, one of the great things about like kind of the classic keyword search is that we have the ability to drive, great relevancy there. We can zero in on that. But you'll notice that we're also driving some marketing and some merchandising in this here. We've got our merchandising banners. We've got our products that might have some pinning. There's some boost rules in the background here. Now, one of the great things about this is if we go to kind of that unified search, we're not throwing away any of that merchandising. So that carries forward into kind of the whole experience here. If I say, I'm looking for men's hiking shoes, we can go ahead and pull back in the relevant results for that, and those merchandising banners still carry over. The merchandising pinning, the boosting and bearing that's in the background, all of that carries over into this experience. So with a lot of our competitors, again, we're thinking about this as a differentiator here, what we're seeing is that concept search, that natural language search, the AI agentic driven searching that we're talking about here, throws out all of that merchandising. It becomes kind of a black box. It's like, oh, well, we're delivering algorithmic search for you. We're delivering AI driven search. It's smart enough to figure everything out. And while we're confident in our ability to drive great results with that, there's still going to be use cases where you want to merchandise to. There's going to be brands that you want to call attention to. You want to highlight products that have a better margin on, that you're bearing items that are out of stock. You want to leverage the merchandising banners that HawkSearch has the ability to deliver for you. With HawkSearch, you're not losing any of that merchandising functionality, especially because we're looking at this as kind of a blend of all 3 of those. We can make sure that when these searches are happening, we're able to fire off all of the same kind of conditions that you are used to leveraging within HawkSearch to drive merchandising banners, to drive the merchandising of boosting and bearing and item pinning. And that carries over into these experiences, along with the ability for us to just even fasting and filtering here, making sure that when someone does a keyword search, maybe there's a particular brand that I'm looking to filter within, or color that I'm looking to filter against. These are other things that we see with a lot of people in this space that are kind of late adopters to the technology. We've been working with this so long now at this point that we've recognized, hey, these are the things that we still want to carry over from the keyword search functionality. It's not, let's throw away the ability for visitors to refine and just kind of really lean on that AI-driven search. Let's lean on that AI-driven search and still carry forward all of the kind of fasting and filtering that someone might be used to. Say, oh, I'm specifically looking for the Merrill brand. Let me make that refinement and refine within those results like I would expect.
John, I don't want to go too technical here, but we get a lot of customers coming to us saying, hey, I've been asked to look into semantic search. I've been asked to look into AI search. I've heard, this thing called vector. So we are now talking about keyword, concept, and image. So just give us a quick sense of like what is powering those three things, right, from a technical perspective.
Sure, and I'll add one more, Jeremy, natural language processing.
Yeah.
So, but it is a good point. It is basically leveraging those large models that understand like every type of query that's ever been made, like that, just by all the training that it's done. So underneath the covers, that is what's going on. We're using a model that does embeddings. So when there's indexing going on, and Jonathan, I know you highlighted this when you were talking, you said, oh, when you want to turn on these features, you don't have to change your indexing process. You don't have to change your data. You just change some settings inside of Hawk Search. We add pipelines in the background that create these vectors and the support for everything that Jonathan was showing. And it's essentially all captured kind of behind the scenes. And then if you use this front end, this is what we call rapid UI. It's just, you just turn on some components and turn them off. In other cases, these are driven by APIs or you're using an SDK. So you might have to pass in a new variable like, hey, I'm using unified search. Hey, I'm using, you can see it in the URL. I don't think we see it, Jonathan. You're cut off below the URL. But anyway, we keep that on there so you can kind of get a sense of how it works. But that's what's going on underneath the covers.
Awesome.
Excellent. We want to cover some of the other function that we have available here with the, kind of the additional smart tools that we bring to the table with Smart Response, Smart Answer, even getting into some of the conversational search.
Yeah. And so what you're saying is we're pivoting to some of this Gen AI stuff.
Correct.
So that middle bucket for us, the Smart Response stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
So the great thing about this is that to John's point there, we were talking a little bit about kind of the front end implementation and how it's just, things that we can turn on and off and different toggles that we can place into the back end to say, hey, we wanted to use this feature. We want to use this other feature. One of the other things that we've brought to the table as part of this is not just kind of unifying and blending together those different search methods into a singular experience. We can now also leverage generative AI to help with that experience. So this is an example here where we've rolled out that Smart Response. I can do that same kind of question like, hey, what do I need to bring with me to cook on a camping trip? And we can go ahead and then not only get back in the relevant results for that, like we've been talking about, but now we can leverage generative AI, which will look at those results, look at the data that we have access to, and make suggestions based off of those. So I've said, hey, what do I need to bring with me to cook on a camping trip? We're pulling back in, again, the fire disk, the spices, the food, but the tool itself, the Smart Response, is looking further into the request that I've posed and saying, hey, out of these results, I recommend the Rainier 2-burner stove with griddle. I love the breakdown of the features that we have here because this is also some kind of leaning into the question that I've asked here. Hey, this stove is compact and lightweight. It fits perfectly with your camping gear without taking up too much space. So it's not only making a suggestion for like, hey, here's what we are believing is the answer to your question, but also providing guidance in terms of, well, why did it make this selection? Why is this a good fit here? And this kind of a response is something that can be really tailored. This is not, to get back to that tailored AI discussion. This is, again, not one of those things where we bring it to the table and we're like, it does this, hope that works for you. We really want to meet what your business needs are. So we've been working on examples of this where it is providing guidance on filters to select. Like, hey, if I do a search and there's 1,000 results that are being returned, let's use the Smart Response to not only make suggestions of where a visitor might be or a product that someone might be interested in, but let's make suggestions on, hey, you might want to refine against our top brands and list out some top brands. Or you might want to look at this collection that we've built out, a landing page. Let's make that a suggestion here. This is really configurable against what your needs are. And when we were kind of having this conversation with a lot of our clients, we recognized that a really great and kind of repeatable example that we kept running into was the ability to answer questions of documentation. So not just, hey, what do I need to bring with me with a camping trip, but let's ask a specific question. And so that led to our next functionality, which we refer to as a Smart Answer. It leverages the same Smart Response functionality, different kind of approach. Again, we're kind of changing that back end of the tool to say, well, what's the experience that we're looking to drive here? And that's to leverage documentation, resources, PDFs, blog posts, things like that to answer questions of our product catalog. So in this case, I can say, what kinds of trails is the Moab 3 good for? We can ask those questions. It'll obviously find the relevant documentation there, but the smart response is specifically answering this question now. What kind of trails is the Moab 3 good for? The Moab trail is, the Moab 3 is good for rugged trails, specifically because it has ankle support and optimal traction. It's calling out other features here, the Vibram TC5 Plus. And all of this information, the way that we got this response, which is an important thing to note here, we're leveraging Gen AI for this, but we're not like going out to Chat GPT and saying, give me the answer to this, where it's looking against the entire internet of data to answer the question. This is just using your product data. So we're not trying to boil the ocean to give you an answer. We're just looking at your catalog, saying, hey, out of the data that we have access to from your catalog, what is going to be the answer for this? And it doesn't need to be really structured data either. This is just a PDF document. If I open this up here, this is just a PDF document that we fed into the system. There's some basic tables that are in here in terms of the data, but it's not formatted in kind of like a key pair thing. We didn't have to break down and say, oh, this is the information you need to be looking at, fed the PDF into the system, and it's able to pick up, hey, the trails that this is good for, rugged. And the reason why, again, we have all the features that it was able to pull from that we saw here to generate that response. So a really great example of kind of taking that initial, oh, hey, there's some cool things that we can do with generative AI to help our product discovery, guided selling kind of experiences. But now to turn it the other way around and say, well, we can leverage your data to help answer questions from your clients that are visiting your site.
Yeah, you pointed out something very important that to our customers, and that's putting the guardrails in, right? So yes, I mean, we certainly have guardrails. We're certainly working with our customers through, some of the common concerns folks have around leveraging this kind of technology, which is, is this going to produce answers on my website that are not coming out of my own content, things like that.
Yeah, we're not going to suddenly start suggesting, maybe we didn't carry Nike brand products here. We're not going to say, hey, the Nike is the one that you want to look at, because your catalog would not have that product.
Yeah. And the other, I like the other term you use is the guided selling, right? Which is very important. I love the idea. I mean, you gave two very, very different examples. And I think that just goes to show the functionality itself, is to take the information and summarize it or synthesize it or find it where a user's not going to go down and read a PDF document. But your use case might be very unique. But understanding the building blocks here, you might, again, come to us and say, well, I've been trying to do this for years, and maybe that's possible now with this type of functionality. And that's been really fun to see, because this whole guided selling, right? Let's see if we can provide the next best action that this customer wants to take on their customer journey. All of that just feeds into a better experience and what we've been talking about here, which is higher engagement, higher conversion, right, and actual higher revenue at the end of the day. So I love this. This is super important, and I think as our customers come to us with more and more unique use cases, you're going to see an explosion of this guided selling. And I think consumers are already expecting this in a lot of sites, right? I mean, we're already, the guided selling experience, has already begun in some of the big sites that we're used to, like Amazon. So I think a lot of consumers are already ready for this, in some cases expecting it. How are you going to help me get to what I need faster?
Yeah, I would actually, when we're going to John here just a second, because I think that you mentioned something earlier that Jeremy, that I think is really important, is that our ability to support those kind of custom use cases. I feel like every time I talk to John, it's like, hey, we've got X, Y, and Z that we're trying to do now with this, and it's every week it's something new, some different leveraging of the technology. So the great thing about kind of the approach that we've taken on the HawkSearch end, and again, that we think is a big differentiator in this space, is we've built out the underlying tool set, basically, and how we leverage that tool set. Like, you can use a hammer to build a deck, and you can use a hammer to build, a shed. You can use a hammer, like, it's all these different kinds of tools, but what are you deploying them towards? And so that's kind of where we're going towards. That's why we believe this is a tailored AI solution, is that we've got the tools and we can help them use them towards what your goal is. John, anything you want to add there? I'm sorry, I kind of tossed to you and then talked for 5 minutes.
Well, there's only just one more piece. I know we're a little bit hitting our heads on the bottom of the hour, but Jonathan, is there anything for the conversational search we could
Yeah,
quickly
of course,
take a look at? Because that, Jeremy, to your point, is a big part of the guided aspect, asking questions, making suggestions, and maintaining the thread. I'll just kind of talk, Jonathan, as you're going through there. That's a real powerful aspect of this. And the experience between these two worlds, the search bar, the questions, the conversations, made understanding the context of what's the question, for example. Anyway, that's where we see a lot of innovation looking ahead this year.
Yeah, and so kind of taking that you've seen the kind of the evolution there, where we were started with that keyword search, we've layered in that large language model, we recognized we can leverage Gen AI to help drive these kind of different experiences and answer questions. Well, this was kind of the next evolution of that, is if we can have generative AI looking at the content and answering questions about it, we can have a conversation with the search results, basically. I did that first search to say, hey, what do I need to bring with me to cook my camping trip? We're seeing those great results, but I can also then ask questions of these results. Hey, okay, I've got back in 60 results. What I'm specifically looking for a travel stove. And then I can ask the search, basically, hey, what is the travel stove that you'd recommend? It makes several suggestions here. It does make that suggestion for the travel griddle. It's making other suggestions here for like the hexagon wood stove. It's providing guidance on other things that you might want to ask given the topic. And because it does have that memory there, it recognizes where we're at in the conversation. I can do things like, hey, tell me more about the hexagon, without needing to be very specific about it being the hexagon wood stove, those kinds of things. So tell me more about the hexagon. And that's all I need to do to ask that there. And then the generative AI is going to look at that, going to go ahead and formulate the response to pull back in additional answers to that question here. Hey, tell me more about the hexagon. The hexagon wood stove is an innovative cooking solution. Again, just kind of delivering the response that we're looking for to have that conversation, so that it's not just getting visitors to a certain set of results. Again, helping with that kind of product discovery, helping with that guided selling, where we can say, here's some additional avenues of inquiry that your visitors can leverage. And with this kind of functionality, we then realize, well, this is great. We can even break this out even further here. So we can break this out to where it's before, you don't need to do a search first. You can start from that conversational search piece, saying, oh, I don't need to interact with the search box first. I can just ask the question, what do I need to bring with me? Again, that example that we have here, to deliver the results that we're looking for. And then again, we can pose that question. This is going to be more of kind of a chatbot experience, where we're saying, I've asked a question. It's going to go ahead and understand that question and provide some guidance, some back and forth to say, hey, okay, going cooking on a camping trip, there's a lot of things that can be included in that. Is there a specific item that you're looking for? So again, I can say, I'm looking for a travel stove. And the idea here is that this is just another way that we can help with that product discovery, and again, help with that kind of guided selling, where we can again get to kind of the results that we expect and help that your visitors interact with your product catalog in the way that they want to. Do they want to use a search box? Do they want to pose a question? Do they want to have a conversation with it? Do they want to just interact with the chat bot? These are all options, again, leveraging the existing data. This isn't going through some kind of major overhaul here. It's all just different endpoints that we're able to leverage in the back end to deliver this experience.
Awesome. Well, I think the key is, Jonathan, you said, these are all building blocks to the experience you want to develop, right?
Definitely.
One question is, could I put links right there? 2, 3 different options, right?
Yeah. Do you want to have little product cards in here? Do you want to list multiple results? This is just the starting point for how can we help deliver on what your AI initiative is.
Yeah, a lot of discovery going on, a lot of proof of concepts going on, a lot of testing. So as soon as we launched this and reached out to our customers, it was an explosion of interest. So it's been a lot of fun. Well, this is my favorite part, which is asking. Let me see if I can take back, and we do have a, right here. Thank you. We still have the survey up, which is a lot of fun. What can AI solve for you? And these are always fun to watch. So if you have a challenge, we would love to hear it. You'll get an email saying thank you for joining, and we'll include an email to this survey as well. But yeah, we would love to see if we could understand your use case and whether all this amazing new technology can solve it. So with that, we've got 30 seconds to spare. Jonathan, John, thank you so much for joining this part of the series. And this was great. we've got more to come in this series. Just go to hawksearch.com and check out the remaining webinars in this series as we put together not only AI, but what it can do for your business. So thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody, for joining.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Hope
you.
everybody has a great day.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Hey, guys.